All right, so today we're going to talk about dubbing your boots and a quick little point on MTO boots. So these are my own personal boots. They are well loved and probably smell a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. So MTO boots are something that happened in the Mediterranean Theater of Operations. You probably recognize most of your boots that look something like this. Well, some point in the early war, they decided that, or some of the troops didn't like the leggings that they had to wear. So until the double buckles that came in later decided to arrive, some of them got creative. Really all it takes to do an MTO boot is have some kind of a leather cuff built onto the top of your shoe, and then have some eyelets, straps, or something along those lines. But typically, this is a very common style. Some of the more observant of you guys would notice that this is actually the double buckle pattern. These are built off of a double buckle. What my leathersmith did was literally just cut the buckle here, or the front strap here, add rivets to where the buckles go, and then take the extra and sew it onto the tongue. You can actually still see the information that was on the cuff. I've seen 3, 4, I've seen a whole bunch of them, but my suggestion after doing these would be no more than 3. These are excessively long shoelaces. I had to hunt for them meticulously, and I finally found them. All right, enough about MTO boots. Check with your unit before you actually go after these, because not everyone got them, especially if it was a unit that hasn't shown up until after Normandy. They probably never saw them. Another thing too is double buckles became much more common, so it wasn't as big a deal later on in the war. All right, so dubbing. Without further ado, this is how you start. You have to take your laces off so you can get to all of the leather. Now, you want to have the flesh out shoes for this. If it's something else, it may not work right. You're probably going to want to use regular shoe shine. That's the regular leather that I'm talking about, this nice smooth stuff. But this, I use Hubbard shoe oil. Now there's about 7 million different ways to do this. I've heard of using heaters and blow dryers and stuff like that. Mine is extremely simple. You take the can, you open the can, you choose which hand you want to sacrifice to the shoe gods. Pour some on. And you just rub it on in. You really want to make sure that your shoe is fairly clean before doing this, otherwise you're going to start grinding your hands on whatever crap you kicked at the last couple events you've been at. But you want to make sure you spread it all nice and good on all the surfaces. Pay extra close attention to the seams. Now, why should I dub my boots, you might ask? Very good question. So these boots actually came to me damn near pink and orange. These are some of the Chinese specials, so I didn't know what to expect, but taking good care of them has actually lasted me 3 years in reenacting. And even at my slowest times, I've had an event at least once a month. Like I said, make sure you get those seams good, because you're trying to watertight this, at least to resist it. You can just get it all in there. You want to do this in a well-ventilated room, as my wife has lovingly told me, because the smell is atrocious, and it will get to you after a while if you're not careful. I'm actually sitting here in my half-built shop, the first project of the new shop. That will be named Bethel Acres Depot, and yes, the acronym is intentional. I'm going quickly just so you can see one layer on one boot in this short video. But you're probably going to want to do a couple of layers just to make this look right and make sure it's all good. The questions come up multiple times is, how do I know when to stop? Okay, so basically when it's nice and dark after it's dry. I usually, now keep in mind, These have already been dubbed a couple times in their life. I will usually do 2 coats at a time. Mostly because I get busy and I don't want to sit, spending hours on end working on just my boots when I've got millions of other projects to work on. And you can usually tell when it's dry just by touching it or just by looking at it. I mean, you check to see if it looks wet or not. I didn't spill any, this is just my reserve. They're already looking better, although a little bit splotchy at this point. It's really important to do this because if you don't, it'll show. And they just don't look half as good. Plus, dry feet, warm feet, or happy feet, you do not want to start off an event with wet feet just because you happen to kick a small puddle and you didn't dub your boots and it went right through. It's going to be a really long weekend for you. Getting there, slowly but surely. So a shout out while I'm doing this to one of my NCOs who could not figure this out, and I had to send him a late night video on how to do this. This is the way you dub the boots, dub the boots, dub the boots. This is the way you dub the boots until it's freaking done. He knows exactly who I'm talking about. You don't want you don't want to have a whole pile of it in one spot because it's not going to do you much good. So if you do have a big old wet spot, just massage it in somewhere else. So now I'm down to just 2 little stretches left. Now, if you have double buckles, MTOs, or anything with the cuff that's a different material, or you have the earlier boots that have the whole material is this, I don't personally do the cuff myself. Going off of what the 90th Living History Preservation page, they did a huge survey on troops and what they could find in photos and as much information as they could. And dubbing was extremely common, the cuff was not. It seems to be kind of a toss-up. And again, I have a million other projects to work on, so I'm not going to sit there and do the cuff if I don't have to. Mine's getting a little beat up, but I'm going to probably use some straight shoe oil at some point just to get it fixed up. And that's like the Kiwi gloss. And it's not going to be the parade gloss because I really don't want to tell the Germans where I am, but just by the shoes that I'm wearing. Oh, and if you have not looked for Hubbards yet, you can find it quite commonly. The couple of our wonderful reenacting vendors usually have it in stock. Amazon, if you're in a rush, usually has it, not always. It's not expensive and it is worth keeping your feet dry. As far as the tongue goes, you'll see it splits. If you go past the split, you're not doing water protection anymore. Really just check the condition of your boot if it needs it. All right, so that is the first coat. You can see generally how that worked out. It should be nice and dark. The second coat, I will get the seams again because I got another couple spots right down here. But anyways, I've taken up enough of your time for this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. But once this dries, I usually do one coat, wait 30 minutes to an hour, usually by the time I'm done with the second boot, and then do my second coat. And after that, I let it sit for about an hour, or I'm sorry, overnight. That way I know that it's taken, and then I can see any spots that I missed that I really need to touch up. Alrighty.